Hey collectors, welcome to Star Wars Collected. I'm Jonathan. Today we're going to have a little bit of a different video than we normally would. We're going to be looking at the Hot Toys Flametrooper, except for this is not it. That's in the box. This is actually a dollar store figure. We're going to get them both out, compare them to one another, and see if it's really worth the hype. So I know some people are going to, the fact this is about the sequel trilogy is going to turn some people off, but there are some great designs in the sequel trilogy, and I really enjoyed The Force Awakens and when that came out, and the sort of reimagining of stormtroopers and different kinds of troopers and things like that. So I did not buy any of the Hot Toys figures from the sequels from like Sideshow from Hot Toys. I've gotten them all secondhand. Some of which I've gotten at a huge discount. If you're, kind of interested in just getting something, look for First Order Stormtroopers on eBay. I think I picked all of mine up for like around $100, which is crazy because it wasn't that long after. But I had the Snow Trooper, I have a couple of the Stormtroopers, but I did not have a Flame Trooper. And my wife and I were in Five Below, which is sort of like a discount dollar store here in the States, and they had this little Flame Trooper guy, and I was like, oh, well, like he kind of looks cool, he kind of looks legit, he's got some shiny armor, and he has all the right components here. Maybe I'll pick this guy up for $5 and put it on the shelf. I kind of tucked him in the back behind the Stormtroopers and the Snow Troopers, and see if I can really tell the difference. Now, like I said, on eBay, a lot of times you can get these troopers for very little, and I had been watching Flame Troopers. They didn't seem to quite drop as low, but they eventually have, or at least this one did. Now there's no box with this one, so that's part of the reason too. So we're gonna unbox this and take a look at the two of them side by side. I thought it might be kind of an interesting comparison. So here's the base. I can say this base is actually pretty scratched up and pretty messed up. I'm surprised. I don't know how really a base gets this messed up, but it is gonna be tucked in the back. There seems to be like a little bit of discoloration here. Maybe if I can get some of that off with some rubbing alcohol or something like that. So first impression, not the greatest condition on that. We have a gun. So here is the Hot Toys version of the gun. And here we have our dollar store version of the gun. And obviously the paint is different on that white handle, but the size is very similar. Very similar, and actually a lot of this detailing is also very similar. Where this has a trigger guard and where this has like a little D-ring in the back, this one has omitted that. Obviously the flat black paint on this one, although it's that part right there. They might be using a slightly different color paint right in here. Obviously looks a whole lot better than this shiny black on here. And same with the white. The white seems to have more a different finish on it. Let's see, there's 5 circles on this one, 5 on that one too. Honestly, the detailing is pretty close to one another. I'm actually very impressed with that. Like I said, obviously the paint, but if you were to take this little dollar store one and repaint it, it would look very, very similar to this. Very similar. So right out the bat, the dollar store one is looking pretty good. Now, obviously, we don't buy the figures and things like that because of their the rifles necessarily. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other accessories here. So we've got a big accessory pack here. We have this big, beautiful flame, which you'll see that they package with quite a few things anymore. Anytime you get like a Mandalorian or something like that, they're often going to have something like this for their jetpack, or maybe even for like a wrist gauntlet or something of that nature. So that's pretty cool. This did not come with any sort of flame effect, so there you go with that. And then this plugs into the end of this, which I actually kind of thought was missing on that one. I thought this one's got some little pokey things on the end, and this one did not have that, but now I can see that it does when you put the flame into it. We've got a handful of hands, which is great for kind of posing and telling the story that you want to tell if it's a little bit different than, this one. Obviously it has 2 sort of trigger hands. They both have a trigger finger out on themselves. They both have a thumb that's sort of curled in. So there's that. You're kind of stuck with that pose, but that makes a lot of sense. With the Hot Toys version, you are going to get a closed fist. You are going to get a nearly closed hand, sort of a pistol grip type thing. A completely open hand, and then a fairly open hand. And obviously some of these are left, some of these are right. Let's go ahead and get the big piece out of here so we can see what we're dealing with. So this is the flame pack for the back of the figure. Let's turn this around. And here, you know, some pretty sizable differences, and actually some liberties with the sculpts and things like that. So comparing the two size-wise, the Hot Toys version is quite a bit larger. Some of the paint's the same, some of it's not. This has a little black kind of cylinder, when really it should be a dome according to Hot Toys, and little red dots on both of those. This is a freestanding antenna where they had molded that antenna in there. These lines are all the same though. A little bit of silver paint on that. This obviously is thicker, but it has most of the same detailing, and the paint obviously needs to go on the side there. There is this sort of tube structure on the back. This looks very scuba to me, obviously. Of course, it looks a lot like a real world flame pack would as well. This is sort of a tube here where they've molded that in on this one. There is a ton of great details on this one with little hoses and a little meter type thing. Again, that has just been molded in place there, but there are still hoses and there's still a meter there. This one has added these little things on the side. I'm not really sure what they are, little pipes, and did not do a great job with the paint job on it, but they are there. So that clips onto there. We seem to be missing a piece from the other one. So that's not necessarily Hot Toys' fault as much as that's the person who sold it to me's fault. It's war, right? Star Wars. So there's some battle damage, not a big deal. Guys, I can't stress enough, I paid very little for this Hot Toys, so I'm not upset if there's gonna be a couple things here and there that aren't quite right about it. So this is obviously now a much larger handle type piece where that's been molded onto there. But when you come down here, there's a lot of intricate pieces on both. Obviously kind of weird they decided to swap paint again. There's this cool little, I don't even know, a little valve with a chain hanging off of it, which is super detailed. This does not have that, although it does kind of have something similar on the other side. Again, tubes, these are actual individual tubes, which are beautiful. That is just a tube, a little stripe here on the back. A much more detailed backpack. Unfortunately, it is a backpack though, so this is going to probably be hidden in most collectors' displays. Now, this tube would seem to pop into the bottom of here if I'm using my dollar store version as an example. So we have our backpack assembled now, and then this gun obviously will hit on the end of here and plug into there. Again, very similar. Looking at this tube, it is sort of made to look like mesh, and this one was made to look like mesh. Like there's a texture there. It's not just a flat type thing. So, all right, let's get out the piece de resistance, the actual trooper. So I'm gonna take this guy's backpack off and his rifle or flamethrower out of his hand so we can really put these next to one another and compare the two. Okay, right off the bat, one is taller than the other one. Let's put them back to back. Gosh, guys, as someone as tall as I am, you know how many times I've been put back to back with somebody? Actually, you know what? Once I get them back to back, the Hot Toys not much taller. Hot Toys version is a bulkier guy. He's got a bigger chest to him. This guy's pretty darn slim. We have seam lines on the dollar store version. So there's a seam line that goes around the helmet right here. Of course, you're not gonna get that with a Hot Toy. It also goes down the armor, the shoulder pads, all the way down the arm, down this piece. Now right here, not so bad because you can see there's a mold line on here. And if you didn't know anything about this trooper, or you weren't, you know, absolutely insane like we are and know all these pieces, I don't think, you know, especially this one would not look out of place. This shoulder piece might not even look too bad. This one especially, I don't think you'd even care. Obviously they're put together very differently. In the back of this guy, there's a big peg that is used to attach his Flametrooper pack, which we don't have on this one. My guess is that this one is magnetic. Yeah, it's magnetic, which is what Hot Toys and often Sideshow tend to use, which is great. I think that's a great way to attach things. As we go down the back here, some details, but they still have a lot of these same details. They still have the little dots. This is a raised bar here where this has been molded in. This is a separate pack here where this is sort of a floppy mold type thing there. Sort of the leatherette shorts or whatever you have underneath here, and then the gaskets. I mean, the details are all there, honestly. They kind of took some liberties with how they put the leg together, and then you've got the, like I said, the gaskets around the bottom piece, The shoes, they look different. They're both interpretations of the same idea, but the colors are all right and things of that nature. They even have the strap on the leg for both of them, which is pretty impressive, I think. Mr. Hot Toys here is having a little bit harder time to stand up, but that is because, of course, they are posable. The Hot Toys version has the detailing line. That would be a quick and easy addition on this guy, though. Again, he has a broader chest. He's got more of a chest on him, and because of that, his armor just fits different. It's almost like there's a little bit more of it. There is a two-piece system here. Of course, on this one, it is molded again, and the little abdominal plate, molded, of course. But all of the actual details are there. You know, this little piece here, this little swoosh, little line down the side. This one, you know, not quite as detailed, but there is an attempt. There is actually a line inside the line like this one has. These little vents down here, how you do? This little belt here, he is lacking this piece on this one. This was the strap that we saw from the back with these little, I don't know, ammo rounds or something like that in there. But you know, this guy's got them too. His are molded, of course, and it's got this little riveting on the side, but the legs all the way down are pretty precise. Now, obviously the elephant in the room, if you will, is that this, of course, is fully posable. You can put this guy kind of however you'd like, and he will maybe not stay in that position, but he is at least posable in that position, where with our dollar store figure here, looking up and down. There is some articulation in the wrist, which is kind of cool. And of course, these are very much like, you know, goose stepping, a Nazi, walking to the Nazi dance song type steps. The big differentiator between the two, but I paid $5 for this guy. Maybe these were more expensive at one point. I don't know what the retail price on this guy was, but I do know that most of them were around $200, $220, something of that nature. Comes with a couple cool accessories. So a difference of $5 to $200, I don't know if that's worth the difference. I don't necessarily think that's a knock against Hot Toys quality here, but maybe just a point at how good of a value this one was. So I'm gonna go ahead and put their equipment all together. We'll put them side by side and we'll do a final comparison. All right, so here they are all posed up. Obviously, when it comes to posing, there really is no comparison with these two. You know, this guy, you really can't do much. You can put the rifle in their hand. You could move an arm slightly one way or the other. Or you could have them like, hey, how you doing? I don't know what you would really even do. You know, to have him have it in both hands, you would have to kind of like bend at the wrist. Like it would just be like he's presenting his gun to you. Like, please take my banana, and you know, things like the hose pops out quite often. So, you know, not a lot you can do with this guy. You know, maybe sort of give him that casual look. You can slightly put his head off to the side. So if you wanted to have like a little bit of an angle with him, you can do a little bit of posing, but you know, really pretty limited. Obviously with this guy, you can do a whole lot more. I've got his feet just slightly apart. I should probably shift his waist slightly one way. I've got him holding his flamethrower there, shooting some flames out of it, and I got him kind of looking at those flames coming out as any pyro would. So, you know, if you're comparing the posing of the two of them, there really is no comparison there. Hot Toys, whoa, Hot Toys has them beat, but $5, $200-ish. For the value, this obviously is a much better value. It makes me question, you know, we spend a lot of money on Hot Toys, and there are a lot of great details, especially looking at the backs, the Flametrooper backs on these. Those packs are dramatically different, and I understand why this would cost more. Should it be $200 versus, you know, if you could do this, and I bought it for $5, maybe they're not making a profit of $5, maybe it should have been 20, then I kind of feel like this should be $100. And I've been having sort of this wrestling match with myself recently with Hot Toys. They've been getting so expensive, and I'm just not sure if they're worth it. And a video breakdown like this, seeing these two side by side, I'm not sure convinces me that they are. But when it comes to a representation in your collection like Luke Skywalker, you know, you could do lightsaber, you could do a costume, something of that nature, but you kind of need a figure or a statue that shows his face to really have a representation of that character in your collection. So guys, I hope you found this interesting. It's a little bit different than what I normally do. What do you think? Is this an interesting concept? You know, if you had $200, or say, you know, I picked this one up for I think less than $100, would you have paid the $100 for this guy, obviously not in perfect shape, but I think will display fine? Or would you have saved your $95 and have just purchased this guy and kind of stuck on maybe behind a couple of your other troopers? Let me know down in the comments. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a like. If you like videos like this, please subscribe. The channel is growing so fast, and it's because of you guys. You guys are awesome. Make sure you're following me on Instagram as well, where we can interact a little bit more together. And that's it for today. See ya.